to be looking to the left.
Welcome, fight fans, to another great episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins. Of course, with me is my guy Wit and Mr. Bobby Blunt. Boys, welcome to our UFC 307 preview show, headlined by Alex Pereira via Khalil Roundtree. But before we can talk about this week, we must travel back to last Saturday and look at UFC Paris. I mean, what a fantastic card it was. First of all, the fight Paris. I mean, they know how to hold it down. Those fight fans are crazy over there. I love watching their cards because the fans are incredible. Then you got some great performances. Brian Battle, he comes out, cuts an awesome promo. I'm all in. I'm all in on heel promos. I already was a fan of Brian Battle. Now I'm a huge fan of Brian Battle. Give that man a title shot today. You get Nasruddin Imanov. Where was Arnold Allen? I'm not Arnold Allen, but what's his name? Brendan Allen. That's the name, not Arnold Allen. Brendan Allen. Thanks. His coaches made me so mad after the second round. Just keep going for the takedown. Keep going for the takedown. It wasn't there. The takedown wasn't freaking there. And then we get the main event, and it's Money Moncano absolutely delivers in the octagon and cuts. I was rooting for BSD. I picked BSD, but anytime Money Moncano gets on the microphone, folks, just shut up and listen because it's going to be a killer promo. And he cuts an awesome promo, talks about how the government sucks, loves the French people, gives out book recommendations. Then he says, Patty Pimblett, easy money. Dan Hooker, being in the top 5 is like a turtle winning a race. Easy money. Love Moncano. You find out he fought the fight, which was even more impressive with an injury. Wit, I'm going to start with you. Your biggest takeaway from UFC Paris.
All right. So first of all, round of applause for Money Moicano because that was, I think, a miss. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is back. That leg triangle around your hip area when somebody has your back and they are just pummeling the mess out of the back of your skull is one of those things that I fear for if I was ever to get into a street fight. Somebody just wrapping their shin around my waist and attaching themselves to my back. I could not process how to do that. But, in real life, and me and Bacchus, we were texting while it was happening. Shout out to Benoit Saint Denis for trying to fight through that type of a hell of an injury. It was brutal seeing, how it looked at maybe like the end of the third round or going into the third round, how as I looked, and literally I'm sitting there going, it looks like a piece of, I don't know if y'all, I'm from the country. If y'all ever seen like a pig's foot, like how that hoof looks before they cook it, that's how I looked. And he was like trying to count. The doctor's doing the counting on him. And I'm like, bro, this ain't gonna work. This not working. And he was, and I still was sitting there. They were on the sideline like, yo, he's getting it right though. He's getting the numbers right, bro. No, he's not. Get it over with. Call it a day. And I think in reality, it was the right thing to do. Sometimes there are some stoppages that me, Bodkins, Bobby, the average fan will feel like, nah, man, don't stop it. Let him go. That was all the way right. There was nothing else for him to do. I'm sure there's some pretty serious damage to that orbital bone, that orbital socket. But kudos once again to Money Moicano going in there, sticking to his guns, mounting Saint Denis for what seems like almost what would basically was half the match, and landing some pretty nasty shots and taking it to a place where Moicano is comfortable. When Saint Denis is uncomfortable, Moicano was very comfortable, and you could tell. It's one of those things.
It almost looks like I was very high on BSD, and then even after the DP fight, like he still carried himself well there, but Moicano just pieced him up in the first round, and by the end of it, it would look like he fought 5, 6, 7 rounds instead of 1 5-minute round, and so kudos to Moicano. Bobby, your biggest takeaway from Saturday?
I mean, Moicano did everything he needed to do. Finding out about the injury afterwards puts it actually on hindsight. It seemed like he went in there knowing, hey, I got about a round max and I need to put as much damage on him as I can. Because realistically, if BSD was not that damaged going into the next round, there's a good chance that the doctors are looking in Moicano's corner, realize what's up with his shoulder, and stop the fight on his side. So that being said, the second that fight started, Moicano got that takedown, and everyone's talking about 10-8. Nah, that is the easiest 10-7 to score ever. He literally beat him to be blind on one side, and because of it, he took so much damage, he literally took the second round off. BSD definitely won the second round, but the damage was already done. And, I think it was more than justifiable for them to stop that fight. And about as impressive performance as Moicano as you could absolutely get. The people that do the rankings are absolutely ridiculous. Get Michael Chandler the fuck up out of there and put him in 6.
That was my next point too, Bobby. The damn disrespect for Money Moicano, whoever does these rankings. I mean, normally I don't bitch about him a little bit, but how does this man beat down BSD the way he did and then stays at 11? That's ridiculous. Give him somebody. Like he should be not next, but he should be definitely in the top 6, 7. Like you said, Mike Chandler, who hasn't fought, is going to fight in November against a guy he's already lost to. But like
Dustin Poirier got a title shot for beating this man, and this dude can't even crack the top 10. That is exactly ridiculous. Like I don't care what type of math they want to do.
Sorry about it. I talk a little high there, Carlo. I'm right there with you. DP did get the title shot right afterwards, and Moicano can't even get. He did call out Patty Pimblett. I'm okay with that, but he said Dan Hooker, and that's the fight that I think makes more sense. If he's really wanting to get a title fight, Dan Hooker's number 5. Why not go ahead and do Money versus Dan Hooker?
Give me Money Moicano versus Justin Gaethje. I think he's earned that. I want him fighting up, not down.
Damn it! You
said Darush.
I love that one too. Moicano Dariush. Yeah. That is on point.
Yeah. I took my answer, bro. I can't lie. I was really trying to figure it out because I knew he was going to ask that question. And when I saw the rankings, it makes for an exciting fight. But when I think about the cancellation of skill sets, Dariush's wrestling, Moicano's jiu-jitsu, and somehow, some way we mix in the stand-up. It doesn't sound as tasteful, but for one of those game over type finishes like we just witnessed, I do like the Dariush Moicano fight though. Seriously.
I just think him and Dan Hooker would be fun, and he's been calling out Dan for a little while now. And Dan's right there too at number 5. Or I did think in an interview later he did say Justin Gaethje. I mean, Piccolo, I do like Hooker versus Gaethje. I've said that since the last Hooker fight. Go ahead, Bobby.
I'd have no problem with the Hooker matchup because at least he'd be ranked higher than Michael fucking Chandler if he won that fight. That like I tried to listen to every discussion for why he would not be in there. And I get that all rankings are somewhat subjective and they all kind of come down to an opinion. And my opinion is simply it is a shame not to have him minimum top 10. But seeing Chandler at 6, I do not understand how he could be at 6 when Moicano has been more active and winning.
The also problem is they have Max Holloway, I think, still in that top 10, and they need to get him out of there. Like, Max, that was a one-off, really, for Max. I don't think he's, you know what I mean? He's getting ready to fight at featherweight. So, like, why is he still in the top 10 rankings at lightweight? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, to the other side of that, Dana was saying, why is Max so low? Because he beat Gaethje.
Also true.
Which, I don't know. I really try to not pay it too much attention, but like that one was, and then when like I looked at like
egregious, it's egregious
the reasoning for it, I'm kind of surprised. I was surprised. Like, he's just gonna have to do it again. And
I know. Yesterday at the presser, Dana White, they asked about Moicano, but I don't think anybody asked about his ranking. Did Dana ever to say like what?
So he was in a interview with Kevin Iole talking about it, and he brought up, don't worry, Moicano, we're gonna have AI rankings soon. He's definitely on Moicano's side, and that's the good part. At least like he got put over there, because as you can see with the main event this weekend, the rankings are irrelevant. It's all who they like in that moment and what they'll go with.
Yeah.
So, I understand if people don't like that, but if you don't think that's what they're doing, I would adjust your expectations.
Yeah. What do you make real quick before we break into this weekend? Brendan Allen and the Imana fight. I didn't understand the first. So obviously Brendan Allen takes him down early in the first round, has that one, one, and then it's 1-1 going into the second, but he tried to take him down multiple times in the second. It didn't work. And his coaches are sitting there taking, the single leg is still there. The single leg is still there. The single leg is still there. But guess what? It wasn't there. And like, he couldn't do it. And then like, he could have beat him standing up. I felt like the fight was there for him to take, and he just didn't pull the trigger. I blame the coaching more than Brendan Allen.
Yeah, rounds 2 and 3 were kind of frustrating. He got the early takedown and pretty much took that round. And unfortunately, I think that success is what made him kind of keep going back to it. And the second, the third round, the takedown just seemed way too telegraphed, and it was easy for him to stop it. So personally, it was a rough L for sure. I do wonder, I'm by no means trying to make any excuses or anything, but he was talking about, them taking like blood and urine samples from him after a weight cut.
They did the same thing to Moicano too. So there's no, like, you know what I mean? They did.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm not really trying to, but at the same time, Money got out of there a little earlier. He kind of blew his load in the first, and then he took that second round off with his fucked up shoulder. So, but at the same time, like, Allen just clearly was not the better man that night. Hopefully he can get back at it, because that was a pretty, he had a pretty good winning streak going. So, I think you just got to give hats off to the other guy at that point, because he adjusted after dropping the round.
This is the fight to make for Brendan Allen, him and Vettori. I 100% agree there. That's the fight to make. They got the history. Why not go ahead and make that fight? What do you think is next for? That's my next question. Paulo actually, he's listened to the show before. Is Bahalo Imanov next, or who do you make? Who's next for Imanov?
That's what I called out right when the fight ended, because I know it's not going to be Sean Strickland, as much as he wants to try to get that one back. If Strickland didn't have pretty much a title shot lined up, it very well could be an option. But
we know Bobby's fighting Whitaker next. We think
that's the most interesting fight to me by far.
Hamzat, yeah.
I know him versus Kaio, I think would, take my
I just feel like I've said this before. I don't like killing off two young kids together. You know what I mean? But I guess when you're both right there in the rankings, somebody's got to live and die.
Every fight from here on up is going to have that scenario. So that's why it doesn't bother me to match them up.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. It is we'll start breaking down UFC 307, headlined again by Alex Potan Piera versus Khalil Roundtree. I mean, speaking of rankings, this is the proof that rankings don't matter. I mean, Khalil Roundtree's like ranked 7th, and he's getting a title shot. A lot of people feel like what's his name's man? I can't think of names today. The guy that had the title shot. Ankalaev. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, remember we've talked about it before. Ankalaev technically did have a title shot and he didn't get the damn job done. That's on him. Now Khalil Roundtree has his opportunity. We'll get to the main card. This card is stacked to me. This card blows the Sphere card out the water just by looking at it from prelims to the main card. I feel like I don't know about you, Bobby.
For Utah, they definitely built it up. Normally they do have a pretty showcase main event for these cards, and they kind of had to get that done. But when I looked at the whole thing from head to toe, I was pretty happy with what I saw. Kind of bummed, Nate the Train had to pull out, but it should be a semi-decent replacement. So.
Yeah, what's your feeling just looking at this card off the bat?
All right, so straight off the rip, bro. I'm me, every once in a while I get nostalgic, you know what I'm saying? We've been UFC fans, all of us, for a while. I'm excited to see what Jose Aldo does right here on the main card. Of course, somehow, some way, it's always exciting to see a fighter that we've seen at the highest of highs and the lowest of low kind of like fight their way back, and he's in the middle of that process right now. But this is a tough opponent he's going up against with Mario Bautista. I think this is almost like a stalemate where it could go either way. More so when I say either way, I mean, of course, we've seen Jose on the ground do his thing. We've seen Jose take on some really tough competition and get some really good points on the chin. So I like that one. And then, of course, man, the people's favorite, whether he wins or loses, Kevin Holland's on this card. And of course,
we'll start there here in just a second. Breaking down that one.
Too. So, but go ahead, bro. Do you think?
The fight that I'm really the prelims. Just looking at the prelims real quick too. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Joaquin Buckley. Like that's a fun fight. Joaquin's trying to climb the rankings. Then you get Ryan Spann versus OSP on here. The former champion Carla Esparza is on here. But let's start with this main card preview here.
Give Esparza some love. High school alumni.
Yeah. Oh, she is. And it's a retirement fight. She's retiring. Yeah. This is the last one.
I'm glad. I wish it was a little bit higher up on the prelims, but, I think it's a good retirement fight.
Yeah, I think it's a winnable retirement fight. So good for her. Hopefully she goes. I'll never forgive her and Rose though for making me watch one of the most boring fights I've ever saw in my entire life. So she'll always be in my memory and also a distaste in my mouth for it. So there's that.
I put that on Trevor Whitman.
No, that was not Trevor Whitman. I put that on old boy, her husband.
Pat Barry. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I put that on Pat. Listen, if you want go back and listen, Pat's like, "You're doing what you're supposed to. You're doing what you're supposed. If they're booing, we're doing the right thing." Fuck Pat Barry. Let's get into the main card here. Whit mentioned it. Everybody's favorite fighter, Kevin Holland, back at middleweight again. He is the favorite here at -150. He is 28-11. He's taking on Roma Dolidis, who's going back down to middleweight, 13-3. He is the dog, surprisingly, at +125. Both these fighters have lost 2 out of 3. Obviously, both go up and down divisions. Dolidis on the high end of middleweight. Holland on the low end of middleweight. I always have said that I wish Holland would stay at 170. I feel like he could be a real player there. But Whit, we'll start with you. Who you like and why?
All right, man. So it's always a battle with me when I think about these fights, because somewhere in there we gotta go. Where are we gonna pick to put our coins? Okay, so real life, Kevin Holland looking good these last couple fights, but of course, he had a tough one, but we've seen him recently somehow, some way, add to his game where he looked like he did a little bit of wrestling in his last fight. But of course, shout out to my people from Tapology who are watching right now on IG. What's going on? We got 13 wins by knockout, 9 by submission, 4 by decision. And these submission wins are happening a little more frequently for Kevin Holland. But of course, look, Roman Dolidis, nobody to sleep on. Somebody really scary. 13-3 right now. I'm thinking if we got to go with somebody money-wise, I'm liking Roman Dolidis. He's coming down a weight class. He's trying to stick his way into fighting smaller opponents, I think, because he's a heavier natural guy. But for me, man, just for my heart, this one time, I want to see Kevin Holland. He's on a streak. Let's see if it turns into 2 and see what we can really get with this one. But I do like Kevin Holland against Roman Dolidis. He's naturally at a weight class he's comfortable with. He looked pretty good last match. Let's see if he can turn this one out.
So who you going, Dolidis?
No, I'm going Holland. I'm going Holland on this one.
Oh, okay. You're going Holland. I was confused. All right, go ahead, Bobby. Who you like?
Kind of a weird one to break down, because I noticed in the Smith fight, he definitely looked like a small 205er, but he also looks like a pretty big 185er. Holland's last performance, or I'm not even sure if it was the last performance, but the fight with MVP, he struggled with how fast MVP is. And
yeah, that was 2 fights ago. That was his last fight at welterweight, and then he went and fought at middleweight. This is and it's crazy. Sorry, Bob, I don't mean to cut you off. Before I want to get these 2 quick stats out. 2 of the most active fighters since 2001 are on this card: Kevin Holland and Alex Pereira. And also age-wise, this is the oldest card in UFC history, age-wise, as far as like average age.
The oldest card?
Yeah, as far as average age. Well, I mean, that's what's going to happen when you got the King of Rio on the card.
I was about
in
to say,
Utah, what could go wrong?
Amen to that. We'll get to that, Bobby. We'll get to that. Go ahead. Who you like on the Dolidis, Kevin Holland?
So yeah, I keep going back to it, and the speed, the issue that Holland had in that MVP fight, I don't really see that being an issue in this fight. But at the same time, I trust Roman's team and stuff. So I think it's going to be pretty tight. But at some point, I do see this striking match eventually going to the ground. And I think Big Mouth will be able to pull off a submission. So I'm going to go Kevin Holland. But it is a really close fight and a great matchup to start off the card. I thought it'd be more even money. I was kind of surprised to see Holland being a dog. But it's not too much of a heavy dog.
Holland's the favorite at -150.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at some old ass lines then or something, or I just read it backwards.
Yeah.
That's probably in line with Holland's submission skills. So that makes sense.
I agree with Bobby, man.
Yeah,
Like I said, that last fight, he showed a little bit of that grappling, and that he didn't have, those first couple good fights. The Wonder Boy fight, he didn't do anything on the ground. He was yelling for DC to give him some pointers. I think this is one of those where he turns it around and shows us what he can do with his ground game.
Yeah, when he wants to grapple, he's very good at it.
Yeah, that was Jalen Brunson. That was not Jalen Brunson, but that was the Derek Brunson fight that he was asking when Brunson just kept throwing him down.
Right.
The Wonder Boy fight was fun, and he broke his hand in that fight. Then the MVP fight, MVP was just too fast for him.
MVP's just an orthodox guy, unfortunately, to fight for anybody.
Yeah, Kevin Holland is always a fun fight. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch just because he's fun. I worry about Dolidis' size in this match, but it always seems like these fights always seem somehow Kevin Holland where you don't think he could win, he finds a way to win. So I'm gonna go with you know what? This is my lock on the card too at -150. Give me Kevin Holland, baby. Kevin, Big Mouth gets it done.
Sweet. I like this for a lock, bro. To be honest with you, there's a lot in which I feel like somehow, some way, I feel like there are more ways for Kevin Holland to win the fight than Moicano to win the fight. Let's put it like that.
You mean Dolidis?
That guy.
Yeah, I got you.
Still got that money on the mind. I know you can't get him out of your head. It was a flawless performance.
It was. Let's get into the next one. I was trying to pull up the rankings so I could get these rankings right here real fast. Because I wanted to make sure I had. Okay, we got the number. This is a number one contenders match. Who's next for the bantamweight division? Caitlin Vieira, number 2, taking on my girl Kayla Harrison, number 3. Caitlin Vieira is 14-3, huge dog at +650. But people aren't. It's not like she hasn't beat anybody. She beat Miesha Tate. She's beaten Holly Holm. Kayla Harrison. This is the second time she's making her UFC walk. She is 17-1. She is the biggest favorite on this card at -1,150. But Bobby, we'll start with you. Who wins and why? And more importantly, I think we're all. I think me and you are probably on the same page, and which probably is too. The UFC needs Kayla to win this fight.
Sure.
Yeah, they definitely are hoping for it. I don't necessarily think it's just set up for her, though. Like, when I saw this originally, I mean, this is kind of why I had so much hesitation. Wasn't just like, well, why don't they just give her the shot immediately? Because, this isn't by any means a walk in the park. Her opponent is very good at closing the distance and being able to keep you on the ground once, she gets you down there. But that's probably going to be half the battle because, obviously Kayla is a phenomenal wrestler. So I'm very interested to see what type of fight this is going to be. I think it's going to be far more competitive than people think. But I do have Kayla winning. Now, at the same time, if she goes and actually walks through her, I mean, we're just off to the races because I am not really anticipating that the way I broke this fight down.
Do you think one thing I will say this, Kayla's already made the weight the first time, and we were worried about that at UFC 300 was the fight before the fight, right? Now that we know she can made the weight with pretty ease. I think that's a less concerning battle. Do you feel like that?
I'm shocked it hasn't come up too much. I mean, granted, I still have a bunch of media to go through, but you were hearing that a lot. And granted, I was one of the people that was touting it. It was, to me, it was more interesting than the Holly Holm fight itself. She really had no problem with it. So the fact that she already did it once, I'm not really too concerned. And I didn't even realize until now how much of an afterthought that kind of has been since she made the weight once. So good for her for, locking down that nutrition.
For sure.
Go ahead, Whit.
Yeah, man. So once again, let's check out what they got on Tapology. Of course, everybody should know by now. Kayla Harrison, pretty much dominated PFL, 15 wins, 1 loss. Got to the UFC, did her thing at 300 against, of course, Holly Holmes. What else can we say about her? She's going to the Hall of Fame, of course. But we want to see what she does up against tougher competition. I'm not saying that she ain't fought nobody in PFL, but I mean, this is literally the big show right here. So right now with the Utah card, I like this lineup. Whereas if she magically just pummels through Caitlin Vieira, which is possible, we're looking at a really good championship matchup. But the matchmakers did not sleep on this one. I think Bobby got it right. This is not a walk through the park by any means, but just from like the prowess, let's say, like what we've seen in the past, I really think that this is one of those that she can win, pretty much handily, and then make her way towards the championship title. You know what I mean? It's kind of what they want right now on Tapology with the Tapology community picks. 1,520 people, 97% have picked Harrison to win, and pretty much 45% of them picked her to win by submission. So that tells you right now, if it goes to the ground, we're looking at Harrison to dominate some kind of way. And I think I'm going to roll with that one for sure. So Kayla Harrison to win by submission or TKO, because she's going to get him stopped on the ground.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement here. First, the UFC needs Kayla to win because to breathe new life into this dead division. And we'll get the other half of who they need to win here coming up. But they need Kayla to win. Kayla's huge. She can be a huge star. She already is a star for the most part. I think she absolutely destroys Vieira. I mean, the minus 1,100. I don't know who's putting money on her to win at those odds. But give me Kayla to win. I think she can get it done. Wait, you mentioned earlier you said not very many times do we have left to see the great legend, the King of Rio, Jose Aldo. He makes his return this time back in the States. Remember, he just fought at UFC 301 in Brazil. He makes his way back in the States. Jose Aldo, 32-8. What's crazy is he is the dog at plus 120, but he's only had 2 losses at the bantamweight in the bantamweight as a bantamweight. One to the former champ Peter Yan, and the second one to the current champ Merab. So it's not like he was losing before he had this little mini retirement. Like, he was on a run there and been beating some bantamweights and then lost to Merab and then took some time off. He is taking on the up-and-comer Mario Batista. Mario Batista is on a 6-fight winning streak. He is the favorite at minus 140. He is 14-2. Whit, who do you like and why in this one?
All right, man. We're just gonna cut to the chase, man. Y'all know, y'all heard me
say it. Versus number 11 in the bantamweights too. So.
Right, y'all heard me say it, man. Jose took, Bakken said it, just now, some tough losses, but they were tough losses to champs, future champs, previous champs, people that are worth losing to. And I'm not saying that Mario Batista is not of the ilk where, I'm saying this could be skewed one way or another, but very few fighters take those type of losses, especially like fighters like Jose Aldo, who's been a champ, who's gotten I feel like it's 100 fights, even though it's 40 fights under his belt. He just won in Rio, and he won like handily. He didn't just squeak by. He won a really good fight. So I'm liking Jose to, continue his streak right now, get his second fight under his belt, make a little win. I'm not saying this is going to automatically jump him up to, make him a title defense or something like that. But man, it's going to keep him right where we like to see him on another pay-per-view card in the year. And I think that this is one of those, it's not necessarily a gimme, but this is one of those where the styles make fights for sure. Out of 1808, on Tapology, 80% got Jose winning, and out of that 80, about 65 got Jose winning by submission. So I'm liking that one. I'm not necessarily liking it by sub. I'm thinking Jose, old school, old man strength. I'm thinking this might be a knockout for Jose Aldo, low key. And I'm really feeling like I feel like that last fight at 301, he let his hands go just a little bit, a little more than we're used to, or almost like the old Jose. So I think that we're going to stick to this one. He might catch Bautista on the chin, and then we get a little TKO stoppage somewhere in the second round.
Well, I mean, he hasn't stopped anybody. His last TKO was February 29th against Muddy Moncado. So there's that, maybe.
Old man strength, man. Old man strength. It might just work out. It might just.
That was the last time he knocked somebody out. So other than that, it's been straight decisions or losses for him. Bobby, who you like?
First of all, what a credit to Moicano to come back after getting finished by a former champion. So once again, hats off to Money Moicano, who is ranked way too fucking low. Now, as far as this fight goes, once again, the UFC is doing Aldo no favors.
This is second young buck they've tried to feed him.
Yeah, the fight, the 301 was designed to try to transfer his star power into that young buck. And I loved how he came out.
Martinez.
Yeah, he came out and was like, nah, y'all must have forgot. I'm fucking this dude up. And he looked great. He went into that. The really only question I have about this is, does the altitude affect him at all or anything like that? But if we get the Jose Aldo that we saw at 301, I have no doubt in my mind that he can win two of these 3 rounds. So give me Jose Aldo.
Yeah, I'm a kind of in agreement. I think. Batista's a dude too. He beat up Ricky Simone last time out. That was back in January of this year. So, but man, it's just like they're not doing Jose Aldo any favors. I think, is this the last fight on his contract? I can't remember when he came back, or he signed a new deal, right?
Yeah. So the 301 fight was the last fight on his deal, and at the time, most speculated that he was going to do something with boxing.
Right. That was a big thing. He was talking about boxing.
I don't know if you saw what happened to Nate with him getting fucked over, and was just like, nah, I'm going to work with the devil I know, sort of thing. I don't know what amount of fights they gave him. They ain't too keen on doing one fight deals. So, but at the same time, it seems like the UFC is attempting to do the exact same thing, but they boost some star power being on the card. But it's definitely no gimme. It's going to be an entertaining 15 minutes for sure.
I like it.
Yeah. I texted Bobby earlier today. I said I love the dogs on this card, and at plus 120. Give me Jose Aldo by decision, baby. I like it. I think he gets the decision. We're all in agreement. We're all riding with the King of Rio at least one more time.
Hey, very telling you didn't pull out the dog mask for that pick.
Oh, you got the I'm saving it, Bobby.
It just occurred to me. Yes.
A little foreshadowing. I'm saving it, baby. I'm saving it. We get into the co-main event. The women's bantamweight champion. You have the champion Raquel Pennington, 16-9, the favorite at minus 170. She is on a 6-fight winning streak. She is taking on the former champion, Juliana Pena, the Venezuelan vixen, who is 12-5 at plus 140. But more importantly, she has not fought since July of 2022. It's been 2 full years since we saw Juliana get beat up by the lioness, Amanda Nunes. Bobby, I'll start with you. Who you like and why in this co-main event?
I was kind of soured on this fight like a month or so back. I was kind of thinking, why do they have to book this? I'm not gonna, rehash everything I said, but I've kind of done a 180 here. I don't know if it's media day or I don't know if it's possibly Bilal Muhammad actually winning the title, but Juliana looks pretty locked in for this. All the embedded, she had no makeup on. You could tell she was just all business training. She was doing, interviews here and there, but nothing like too big. And she kind of waited today to like do the media and the whole like, shit talking character thing, like however you want to, classify it, how she sells
a heel character.
At least someone in the division does it. And honestly, going back to Kayla and the UFC needing Kayla to win, I think a lot of people would also argue the same is said for Juliana there.
Exactly.
That being said, the way it's lined up right there is why I'm so intrigued for it, because we've had so many of these scenarios where we have something, set up to do, and then
it's right there in front of us,
and then someone pisses in their Cheerios, and it's done. So I think the line is probably justified only from the fact of the 2-year layoff. If she had like another fight under her belt and was not coming off a loss, I think she'd be a lot more of a favorite. But at the same time, it's not like she's like a heavy dog, she's not even like a 2-1. So I think Raquel has definitely put in the work and scouted it. They know each other from back from Tough. So I'm kind of curious if
it was like Tough season 10, I think, right?
Yeah. Like, is it going to turn into like more of a sparring match or what? But, as of today, I'm probably leaning Juliana Pena to get it done, but in no means am looking over Raquel. I think she has just as good of a chance to retain the title as Juliana has to win it. And, it kind of puts more anticipation on how this all plays out with those two women fights on the card. So, my criticism before was probably more reactionary, and, credit to them for getting something else out of this than, just Pereira and Roundtree.
Yeah, Juliana knows how to sell a fight. Like, that's one thing she can do. She can trash talk and she can sell a fight better than 90% of the females. She might be the best female talker on the roster. Maybe this new we didn't talk about the twerker, Alan Perez on the French card. She's getting up there. She is becoming a great heel. I'm all on. A lot of people hating on her. I love her. Hey, miss weight and twerk in your opponent's face. I'm all in on the heel game. So I enjoyed that. So I'm enjoying Juliana. Real quick though, before Wick goes, this is the longest. She is breaking Colby Covington's record for longest layoff before getting a title and then getting a title fight. So she is in rarefied air with Mr. Colby Covington.
Though I brought that stat up, I would like to put on record she deserves this a fuck of a lot more than Kobe.
Oh yeah. She's at least she's a former champion.
Yeah, who beat Amanda Nunes. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Go ahead, Whit.
Hey man, I think y'all pretty much said a mouthful of pretty much everything. You covered all the bases, Bobby. Deserved, yes. Necessary to a degree. What do we like to see from UFC fight makers? We like to see the storylines. And this old brood, and it's professional women's fighting, but I hate to say like an old brood cat fight. You know what I'm saying? Like this is something that has been going on for a while, and they're finally at a place where Raquel Henderson is crazy enough to invite Juliana Pena, who just took a tough loss to one of the best female fighters ever, to put on gloves. I always feel like, the good fighters learn from losses from champions. You know what I'm saying? And Juliana Pena has been out long enough to know that maybe at one point in time she might have been putting too much of an emphasis on the heel game, too much of it, because hey, look, you're a woman. You're I'm saying this in the most non-sexist way I can. You have to use everything in your toolbox in order to sell the fights. And Juliana Pena at one point in time was using her looks and her ability to trash talk. And I think the loss that she took made her put a little more of the onus on training and preparing. And because just like Bobby mentioned, we haven't really seen her on the media tour. We didn't really get a chance to see her, doing her normal, really brash openings and things like that. That's not what she was doing. Not to say that she doesn't have an opportunity to up until this point, but I like the fact that when she was out there, it was very little makeup. She still looked flawless, and she was serious. Now, Raquel Pennington, whoa, you know what I'm saying? She got there. She's got the belt for a reason. But this, in my mind, is setting up what could be a possible Kayla versus somebody fight eventually. And I would think the UFC would want Juliana and Kayla. That's what I think the UFC would want. And the the apple cart is pointing towards, Kayla and Raquel, but I think it would sell more of a women's co-main next year, Juliana Pena versus Kayla Harris, who's, and they both gonna stun everybody with not just their fighting, the verbal jousting and their looks. Total package. So I'm going right here, Juliana Pena, to regain the footing in the bantamweight division.
Yeah, the UFC wants Juliana to win. Like, they want Juliana, Kayla, winner gets Amanda Nunes. Like, that's the route to go. Because both of those girls could have the history with Kayla to bring Kayla in, or with Amanda to bring Amanda out of retirement. Juliana obviously won one. And then Kayla has the ATT stuff. Amanda left AT&T as Kayla was coming out. There's a lot of reports that happened that they couldn't train together. That Kayla, Amanda didn't like Kayla, whatever. And there's some bad blood between Juliana and Kayla. Juliana has said Kayla's on steroids, and has said those types of things. Has talked bad about the gym at AT&T and all types of stuff. She's certified trash talker, and she is. And Rocky Pennington's she's been, got the belt in January. A lot of people, including myself, thought she would lose that fight to Buenselva, but she won, and now she gets her first title defense. I'm all in because I want Kayla and Juliana. I need to see that fight. So give me a new UFC Bantamweight Champion of the World, Juliana, the Venezuelan Vixen Pena.
Ladies and gentlemen, we never agreed this much. Something has to go wrong.
Well, we have agreed on every fight.
I was just going to say, we're so in lockstep that there's a decent chance that both Juliana and Kayla lose. So,
there's a chance that we go all 0-4 at this point.
Everybody,
I wouldn't really be surprised. The Kayla Harrison fight, I would be surprised. I'd be like, holy shit. The other ones, not really sure. Yeah, we usually all agree. And now we get to the main event, headlined by Alex Potan Piera, who is 11-2. He is a huge favorite at -500. This is his third title defense. He is breaking the UFC record for making his third title defense in the most amount of days, like less. You know what I mean? shortest span, I guess is the word I'm looking for. This is his 4th fight in a calendar year in the last 12 months. He is taking on none other than the 7th ranked, we talked about it, light heavyweight in Khalil Roundtree, who is at plus 350. He is 14-5. He is on a 5-fight winning streak. He also looks like old buddy Luis Gossett Jr. So there's that. Whit, I leave it up to you right now. We'll start off with you. Who wins the main event and walks out the light heavyweight champion of the world?
Oh, man, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. There are a few things that when we talk about myself, Bobby Botkins, that I get excited about, like before we get on to the show. I asked Botkins 2 hours ago just to make sure that we were going to cover this. And I was thinking about the right thing, and this was the right week. Okay, so we've seen Poatan put on match after match after match where he seems to somehow mentally get into the fighters' heads before he gets into the match and take extreme chances where he gets to take, I don't want to say take the fighter's soul, but just take the heart out of the fighter. We saw it, we've pretty much seen it in every fight, in my opinion. And he does it at such a rate where it's very rare where we see him fight somebody where it's not like, okay, well, this could win. I mean, what we thought it was going to happen with Hill, Jamal Hill, didn't happen. Yuri Prohaska, we were excited to see him get back in there, didn't happen. Jan Blachowicz, didn't happen. But somehow, some way, I gotta tell y'all the truth, man. I've been hearing this Khalil Roundtree story before, and I think I was just I'm stuck with it, man. I think I told you guys when we talked about boxing, the Tyson Fury story, about all of that depression and stuff, fighting.
Yeah, he was 300 pounds, and he was depressed. Yeah,
exactly. I feel like fighters who are fighting other things outside of the ring have a big shoe to fill in this in the world of combat sports. Period. Khalil Roundtree is one of those people, and I think he has what it takes up here to not be frightened by what the, like, I don't want to call it the ghost, but what like the vision of fighting Alex Pereira brings to the ring. I think he's going to think of him like a regular man. He's going to think, if I've combat depression, my weight. He was talking about smoking, suicide. We can't say that word, but the thing where you may end your own life. I feel like this is one of those fights where it won't matter, and Pereira may have met his match. If you've heard it in all of the interviews, Khalil Roundtree does not go for takedowns. Not at all. This is where I think Poatan will have his toughest match, where somebody's going to want to stand and bang with him, just like in those K1 days. And he's going to have to revert to his old school, what I'm saying? Oh, he's going to almost how he beat Izzy, but I feel it in my heart that fighting this frequently, especially as a champion, there's going to be a time when you make a mistake. There's going to be a time where you underestimate somebody. There's going to be a time where you rely on what got you there a little too much, and the refined skills of someone who's never been there before takes the room. This is that time. So I'm going to go with because I feel as though Khalil Roundtree has what it takes. In any other chance, in any other arena, any other opponent, Poatan wipes the floor. But for me, right now, I gotta go with Khalil Roundtree. This is not gonna be the end of Alex Pereira, because he still has an opportunity to go up a weight class, possibly, or come back and still fight him again. You know what I mean? This is not the end of Alex Pereira, but I think this is just the end of his title reign at this point. He will take some time off and come back and be scarier than before, just like he did when he lost to Izzy the first time. But this one right here, I'm going to go with my guy, Khalil Roundtree.
Bobby?
Do it, Bobby. Do it. Do it, Bobby. Do
it. Okay, so let's go back to what you said with the I think it was Ronda Rousey who holds the current record. I think correct. That many defenses in what, like 156 days or something?
Yeah.
And like
I can't remember the stat off the top of my head.
And Poatan would do it 146. So pros and cons. He is used to fighting at an elevated schedule like this because of his kickboxing stuff. It was a big reason why when he saved the day with the Conor card, I really had no doubt that he would not win that because he's so used to traveling far areas and having to fight. I'm not trying to discredit Khalil at all. He, I do think he was going to be here one way or another, whether the UFC gave him a little bit of shove at the goal line to get him here. He's never not fought in the Apex, though.
That's true.
I just think about that moment of when he comes out and he does all that stuff with that arrow. So you're going to go from dropping a thumbtack in the Apex, being able to hear it, to that. If Roundtree is able to do this, that would be extremely impressive. One of the things that had me a little concerned is I heard he turned down a few interviews saying that he wanted to, just be locked in and focused, which is good and everything, but it also, takes me back to him only fighting at the Apex and stuff. And is he ready for that? Now, he obviously did, the media, and he's been making his rounds and stuff. So maybe he was just saving that energy for knowing when he had to do that. But this is a classic kickboxer versus Muay Thai matchup. And, the main reason he got it is because they have very little fear that there's going to be any grappling involved. That being said, Alex Pereira has been sparring with Sean Strickland, and they haven't just been sparring. They've been doing heavy grappling, been pushing stuff under. And I really think Alex is going to try to implement some of that in the fight if it doesn't end in the first minute.
Alex come out and said that, he challenged Khalil and said, hey, let's no takedowns and we'll donate some money to charity or something like that. And then Khalil said, I'll just donate money. I won't even have to do that. I'll donate my part of my charity to, money to my winnings to a charity anyway. But Khalil's kind of come out and said, I'm not going to try to take him down. He's like, if I get, I'm a fighter. My game plan is not to take him down. My game plan is to strike with him.
Yeah.
This is an absolute striker's delight.
And I buy Khalil saying that he
Me
just
too.
Want, I completely
so
do.
serious when he said
however, Alex Pereira knows and Goliath is next. So,
yeah.
It would be wise to
if Goliath's got to get past Rakic first.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I really wonder how Khalil is able to deal with that leg kick. That is my main concern. Because if he starts, doing that, maybe Khalil's game plan is, hey, I need to get him out of here as soon as possible because he doesn't really plan on checking that. Be very interested to see. Khalil does have a lot of awkward movements. So I'm not putting it out at all that he could not catch him. We have seen Alex get chinned before, not at, this division, but it definitely is in the realm of possibilities. Absolutely. But all that being said, Alex has already fought in Utah and he keeps doing these moments like they're nothing. Now, a lot of people would argue, well, they're not giving him a grappler and all that,
There's not really any spot the dudes who's been in front of him. And all those dudes have been the top dudes of this division.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is to me at this point. I'm trying to enjoy the moment of what we're witnessing here. Yeah. We ain't going to ever see this shit again. With that type of activity. And keep in mind, a lot of people have this activity when they get to the title. And then after that, it's
not as the champ. Correct.
Yeah. And he's to him, the belt is, oh, great. Just more money. Yeah. Give it to me. Because he knows he has an end date and he's trying to get as many in as he can. So, I've gone on long enough going back and forth with this, but at the end of the day, I think I'm going to have to go with and still here and go with Potent.
Yeah, you mentioned the activity. I said it off the top. Kevin Holland and Alex Pierce in 2021 are the most active fighters the last 3 years. There's a difference, though. Alex Pierce fighting like the legit top 2-3 guys in the, and I'm not, it's no knock on Kevin Holland. He's not fighting for title fights. Like, this is Alex Pierce since he's been in the UFC. You know what I mean? He had the 2 fights with Izzy for the title. He's now, this is his fifth title fight. Like
he what the wildest part is he had before he had the Izzy fight, okay, like he pretty much had Strickland, his opening fight that he came in with, and then Jan at 205, if I'm not mistaken. There
was one guy in between Strickland and his opening guy. There's one guy in between there.
But other than that, ever since then, every single fight has been either 5 rounds or a title fight. And granted, the 5 rounds doesn't really matter. But, we've already seen him be able to go 15 minutes in Utah. And that's a big deal to me. But I don't mean to undersell Khalil at all. Like, if I was betting this, I'd be a fool not to take a flyer on Khalil's money line. I mean, with these type of gloves, no one is that much of an underdog, period.
Yeah. And Bobby, you said it. First of all, again, this is a striker's delight. Like, these two are absolute pure savages. Like, people, like, I don't care that Khalil Roundtree is number 7. I said this when the fight was the fight was announced. Put all the names in the fucking hat, and you can pull out the 2 best fights I want to see. It's going to be Khalil Roundtree and Alex Pierre at light heavyweight. You also, like, Alex has got options after this, right? It's kind of like it's laid out from him. We could get him and Tom Aspinall for a heavyweight title fight. He's talked about going down and fighting, defending, to beating the guy that Izzy couldn't beat. I think that's like another stick to Izzy almost, in fighting DDP and trying to become middleweight champion. So like, all that is out in front of it. But Bobby, you said it. What'd you say, Bobby? It's in Utah, and fucked up things happen in Utah. And by God, at plus 650, my dog on the card, and new UFC light heavyweight champion of the world, Khalil Roundtree Jr., baby.
I like it. Definitely help me in suspense there. Didn't know where you were going to go with this one, Marcus, but me and you rocking with Khalil Roundtree. Bobby,
I knew he was.
You make a lot of sense.
I knew he was doing it the second he didn't put it on for Aldo. I'm like, oh, okay, So that I picked up on that real quick, and I can't really disagree or say it's out of the cards. Like, there are a lot of people that have broken it down, pretty much saying that he doesn't stand a chance and stuff. Citing that he makes himself too hittable and stuff. And, I think that number for an underdog is absolutely crazy. I
might have said 350 with the 650 with the dog mask on, but it's 350. But either way, you take the flyer on. Like, he can get it done. I think he can. There's just 2 years ago in Utah, we saw Leon Rocky Edwards shock the world.
Mm-hmm. Okay, listen.
Why not Khalil this time? 2 years ago, really, a year ago, Justin Gaethje shocked the world with a head kick and knocked out Dustin Poirier.
Listen, 2 head kicks in a row, and we're talking about guys who are planning to not take it to the ground. What if this makes the 3rd head kick? Khalil Roundtree striking. His hands are dangerous. He's very unorthodox, like Bobby mentioned. But and some of the training I've seen, he's been doing that crazy. He's been doing crazy Muay Thai workouts. And I heard Bobby say, what if Poatan comes in there and goes for that leg? I think he may do the opposite and go for Poatan, as if this is a K1 kickboxing style match and take it to him. I think that's the one thing that I can say is kind of like his kryptonite. Most people are waiting for, Poatan to do his thing to strike or maybe miss so they can counter. If you take it to him, it's a little bit of a different show. So I'm really excited about this one though, straight up and down. This is one of the ones I wanted to see as soon as they announced it. The underdog story can be rewritten, but at the same time, if as Alex Pierre wins, I mean, just strap yourself to a rocket ship because it's going out of space, bro.
Do either of you have up what Pereira by submission is?
I can probably pull it up. I bet it's like plus something. I wonder what the over under takedown is too on this. Let me find it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to live a little, put a little flyer on that, because realistically, this fight could never hit the mat. But I think Pereira knows pretty damn well that his next fight is going to be on Goliath, or at least he is preparing himself in that aspect. I mean, granted, he doesn't look past Roundtree; he's focused on Khalil. But I think it would do him some favors to implement some grappling in this. I know it's not what the fans want to hear, but I'm just thinking out loud.
Bobby, you got plus 1,500 for Pierre to win by submission on DraftKings.
Plus,
what'd you say?
Yeah,
dang.
Yeah,
is that right? That sounds wrong, right? Am I tripping?
No, that sounds pretty correct.
Yeah,
me. And if you want to live a little, throw a C note on that.
Right.
What's Khalil by submission?
Khalil by submission plus 3,000. What? Plus 3K for Khalil by submission, bro. That's the one right there. Khalil. Okay, that is the one. Plus 3K. But the Khalil decision 1,600. By KO, TKO, or DQ plus 5.
The over under on the rounds is 1.5.
Yeah, that's about right.
Under plus 100.
So to your Leon Rocky Edwards point, he was losing 4.5 rounds. I do not really envision this fight being in that range. But if Khalil is able to weather a storm and come back and win in Utah, I mean, that'd be great. The bigger question for me is if he wins this fight, do they just run it back? Or because
maybe,
I mean, he's their cash cow.
Yeah.
If Khalil wins the fight, do they run it back?
Yeah.
If Khalil wins the fight, bro, Alex Pierre.
It depends. Ask me that a week from today, on our post show, and I'll have a better answer.
If it's by knockout, the answer is no. But I'm saying, and it ain't going to decision. I'll just shut up. Never mind. Throw it out.
Somebody's going down. Yeah, I agree. Somebody by knockout. Bet that for sure. I agree. That's probably the easy money. Wait, before we get out of here, do you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, real quick. I got to say something. I got a little boxing to talk about because this is kind of sleepy time. Anyway, so we got Gervonta Tank Davis has announced out of nowhere his next fight will be against Lamont Roach Jr. That's right. Lamont the Reaper Roach Jr. will be fighting Gervonta Tank Davis December the 14th in Houston, Texas. It's going down. Now, this is one of those fights where we as fight fans, it's a head scratcher because as of recently, we have been watching pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view of knockdown, drag-out good fights where great fighters are getting upset, but they have only been doing that when they've been on Riyadh season cards. For some odd reason, Gervonta Tank Davis feels that this is his place where he gets to sit and rock out right there. And for some reason, hey, you want to do 135? Gervonta Tank Davis got you. You want to do 140? You want to do rehydration? You want to fight, Devin Haney maybe? You want to fight Teofimo Lopez? Gervonta Tank Davis does not do that. But he will fight down, and he will fight Lamont Roach. Is Lamont Roach ready? Is Lamont Roach on the level? Will Lamont do anything outside of the ordinary besides get knocked out? We don't know, but I'm interested to see what will happen. But this is one of those fights where if it's a sleeper, Gervonta Tank Davis knocks the guy out, people are going to start clamoring for there to be some type of unification or for Gervonta to step up to 140 and go ahead and stop playing with people, man. He's a small guy. He's 5'6". He goes down to 135. He gets up. He pisses twice. He eats a slice of pizza. He's at 138, 140. Easy. Sleeps that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see what happens now that this fight has officially been announced, because there was so much speculation. Oh, he's going to fight Triple G. Oh, he's going to fight this one. Oh, Devin Haney. Nah. Tank Davis ain't going to do that. He's going to stay where he knows he can win. He's going to stay right where he's available to take on competition, which is not necessarily in the same stratosphere as him, and make a lot of money and cash in on that. But somebody, somewhere, possibly in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, should give him a call and say, hey, let's put a fight together. Let's put some real money. Let's put some real competition in the ring with you, and let's make it happen. So for now, that was it, man. Big news in the boxing world. Tank Davis fights Lamont Roach Jr.
Yeah, real quick too. There was breaking news as we were on the show. Terrence Crawford's revealed he turned down a 2-fight offer to fight Conor McGregor. One was in the octagon. He said he ain't getting kicked by nobody. So I don't know how much. I don't know if that's even legit, because Conor can't be fighting nobody because at the UFC he's on a UFC contract. So he's still got 2 fights left. So I don't know, but that's what Terrence is saying.
That's what the kids call cap. Since you brought up boxing, this reminded me of something. I don't know if you caught Contender Series. It actually stemmed from an Ioli interview, but Dana White actually said that Francis Ngannou would have made more money if he
saw that.
And okay, if you eliminate the PFL fight and the Anthony Joshua fight, which we aren't doing, by the way, but for the sake of this argument, let's just eliminate that. And you take the fight he did with Tyson Fury, that right there defeats anything he would have made with the UFC. How's he going to make that amount of money with the UFC? The only way it would happen would be with a John Jones trilogy. He didn't even have a guaranteed one John Jones fight. So that was the most bold-faced lie I ever saw. And,
Dana knows the real numbers, Bobby. Dana knows the real numbers. Dana would never lie to us. What are you talking about? He knows the real numbers.
Well, that was my favorite part of it. Like, I'm not trying to shit on the guy, but I know the real number. And it's like, you don't think he does either, and that's why he took the other number.
Thank you.
And they're also saying, like, with the PFL deal, if he actually does the 3 fights, he'll probably make like $50 million in that deal. So just the PFL deal by itself would have been more than what he's, it would. He'd have to have multiple like $200 million pay-per-view buys.
When Francis retires, Dana will say, I love Francis. Nobody's defended Francis more than me.
Right. And you think about it, right? When he does retire or he lays it down, the PFL is going to do some real honorable mess. They're going to build a PFL fight camp in Kinshasa or something like that.
We'll look at that PFL card because it's next Saturday. So we'll look at that on next week's show.
Yeah. And credit to them for putting it was only a minute long. I would have preferred them to talk about the entire stacked card of it being the best event they did. But hey, at least promoting the Francis, El Problema is better than nothing. Right. But it'd be great for Don Davis to appease to the fans and not the fucking shareholders in these meetings. You need any suggestions, Don? My DMs are open. So
there we go.
Yeah, all our DMs are open, Don. Head Kicks and Haymakers will go on the road and promote the whole PFL for you if you want.
We'll take it on the road and do a show with the PFL. Sell out.
We'll put on a whole concert. Nonetheless, it's been another great episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers. We will be back next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. You can catch us all right here. Again, this Saturday, UFC 307, headlined by Alex Pierre versus Khalil Roundtree. And then we'll have a post show next Wednesday. We'll talk about what's next, and then we'll look at the PFL card as well. So be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We're gonna hit that outro. We'll see you next week.